I want to know a little bit more about how marketing is integrated kind of into the church, just with you guys specifically. What are you guys doing currently? What do you want to do? How are you using just the digital world to reach people in this new kind of brave new world, if you will?
Yeah, and I love this, and I know Dakota well, and I would probably be the opposite of your stereotypical pastor who's like looking for the grandiose marketing plan. The 7 layers to what marketing looks like. But one of the great quotes that I often draw from in these types of scenarios is I believe it was John Maxwell, and maybe he's the one that just said it 3 times and then took credit for it because somebody else said it. And that's kind of the joke amongst communicators, is that once you use something 3 times, then you can claim it as your own. But people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yeah.
And so what I have found, and what we find, is that in the act of serving our community, it's actually the greatest marketing strategy is not the message that we actually preach, it's the life we live. And the way in which we live is actually by how we care for one another. And so what that does is it creates, whether you want to call it a brand, whether you want to call it a sense of influence. One of the things I love my wife, she says all the time, if something were to happen to the church, would our community miss us? With the impact that we're having on our community, with the acts of service, with the going out of our way for one another, loving people through their trials and celebrating with people through their victories, would they miss us? Would they notice that we are gone? Not us as the people or the building, but us as the representation of Christ in our community, in our city. And so when I think about what Jesus said, when he said, and I know business, church sometimes feels like it should be separate. I have a different perspective on that, having been in both worlds, and we can maybe get to that in a moment. But
I would love to.
But one of the things that Jesus said is, he said, go into all the world and make disciples. He actually didn't say go into all the world and gain a lot of followers. Right? He didn't say go into all the world and have the best looking graphic on your profile that will hopefully attract more followers. Now, that's well and good for some companies, so please hear my heart here. But I think the greatest strategy around marketing is actually the way in which we go and serve one another, the way in which we actually show up for one another, the way in which we actually care for one another, which then translates into, let's just talk about reviews for a second, right? If we were to put that into context, the reviews would be that of, wow, the church showed up for me in my time of need and provided for my family when I wasn't able to provide for them, and they didn't want anything from me. Or when my daughter was diagnosed with bone cancer, and both parents, not my daughter, this is a story, and both of the parents of that daughter were both laid off because of COVID. The church got together and came together and raised money to help cover our expenses for the rest of the year. Or when my husband suddenly passed away and I wasn't going to be able to provide Christmas for my family and my children, even though I needed so much more than just that, they thought of me, and they don't even know me. As a matter of fact, I'm not even in their church, but yet they showed up at my front door to just love on my family and my children. To me, those are the types of things that we do as followers of Jesus, that Jesus commanded us to go and make disciples and to love one another, to serve one another, to care for one another, that then show up in the reviews, whether it's on Google or Yelp or Heaven. And in this case, for us, it's about that. And so what does that look like? It looks like being true to who we are and ensuring that our mission is very clear. Our mission is to bring the light and life of Jesus to the darkest place of our community. The Bible says that where there is darkness, that darkness cannot defeat the light. And so what happens often is that when we show up as followers of Jesus and the light is in us, which is just salvation, it's the relationship with Jesus. People who then are struggling with an area or an issue in their life would represent darkness. And so what happens is they get discouraged, they get feeling a little awkward, they maybe start to think that you have an emotive, but all that is the darkness starting to quiver and to shake because the light has shown up, and now they start to retreat. And so as it were, when we talk about bringing the light and life of Jesus as our mission, we want that to be heaven invading the earth.